I want to go to my guests. I am joined with my man, Ted Rall. Ted Rall is a political cartoonist, syndicated columnist, host of Connecting the. It's not Connecting the Dots. What am I talking about? Host, about to say host of Connecting the Dots. Host of TMI Morning Show with the one, the only, the great, the beautiful, always smelling good, Manila Chan. How you doing, Ted, man? You doing okay this morning?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I am doing okay. I'm a bit of a cold, but my cold medication is kicking in, so I'm not
Good,
feeling too
good.
bad right now. I'm not feeling too bad. Um, I asked you, I was like, hey, is there anything you want to discuss? And you said Mamdani.
Yep.
Mamdani. I did this monologue yesterday where I was very angry with this fat fuck of a man, pardon my language, who was making this argument of comparing Mamdani to David Duke, comparing him to
What?
yeah, comparing him to David Duke, comparing him to Nazis, comparing him to ISIS. I mean, like he went full in. And, from my point of view, I'm like, I love this argument because that argument to me effectively is my argument that we are not on the same page. That the notion that the Democratic Party and people who are actually on the left are the same is nonsense. And when they're using a collective we to make it look as if, well, hey man, Kamala Harris is running, you guys should vote for Chris Matthews told me that when Bernie Sanders was running, it was better to let Trump win because if Sanders takes it, he's going to take the party for a generation. So what Chris Matthews has explained to me and what I saw with my own eyes as I lived through it was we are not on the same page. And the fact that Mamdani has won, or Mamdani's wife's husband, because she's gorgeous, when he won and the way they responded to it enshrines that even further to me. It hits that bell even harder for me. And from my point of view, the workers left needs to acknowledge that. And whoever they put up, I don't care, across the political spectrum in regards to Democrats, let them fail. I don't care if Satan himself is on the other end against whatever rando Democrat that they put, let them fail. We are not on the same team, full stop. Give me your take on this, because you're in New York. You see this level that they're trying to do. I mean, for God's sake, the former governor put out a letter saying, hey man, whoever's closest in November, we should support that guy. And it's like, dude, he just won the mayoral race. Like in regards to the primary. How are you now pulling this nonsense of whichever Democrat is more popular, we should vote for that Democrat? The Democrat who won the primary was Mamdani. You should support that guy, but they don't support that guy. Give me your thoughts, Ted.
Mamdani is the only Democrat in the general election. Okay, Governor Cuomo. Okay, by definition, because if you go to the polls on November, the second Tuesday in November, in New York City, you will see one Democrat on the ballot. That's Zohran Mamdani. You'll see maybe yourself, Andrew Cuomo. You're going to be under you're going to be on an independent line that I forget the name. And if you look at the other candidates as well, including obviously there will be Curtis Sliwa in the Republican Party, and there will be the sitting mayor with his 11% approval rating, Eric Adams, who will be running on the anti-Semitism party, which is not the Democratic Party. So if the idea here is you support the Democrat who's closest, well, that's easy because there's only one, and that's already been determined, and that's Mamdani. And it's so, if you're going to rally behind the Democratic nominee, that's him. If you're a Democrat, you're a loyal Democrat, you go behind him. And so the thing about, look, I love the way you put it. Though for people who read my cartoon who are watching, I apologize because basically I'm about to give away the topic of my next cartoon and the whole setup for it. But basically, it's like, this is like, okay, the Two Musketeers, right? Like, all for one, one for all. We're in partnership together. Like left-wing, progressive, working class, democratic socialists, like AOC style, the Squad, Bernie Sanders, the old guard left, the McGovern left, the Hubert Humphrey left. We're in it with you, fun, cool, kind of uptight corporate Democrats, the Hillary Clinton types, the Andrew Cuomo types, the Kathy Hochul types. Yes, we don't always get along. We don't agree on everything, but we're all Democrats. All for one, one for all. So when, as happens 99% of the time, the party makes sure that they get a corporate Democrat in as their nominee, it's blue no matter who. You Democratic Socialists, you can't sit on the sidelines and let the Republicans win. Remember, it's all for one, one for all. And it's like, so it's like you have to, don't worry, someday your prince will come. But wait, but that day is not today. That day is you will vote for Kamala Harris, you will vote for Hillary Clinton, you will vote for Joe Biden, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. It's like, but then accidentally and strangely, some Indian Muslim guy born in Uganda blunders into a sweeping landslide win. And the city falls in love with him and votes for him as their Democratic nominee in a city where basically, if you're the Democratic nominee, you will be you will win the election. Oh, wait a minute. Wait, we never said that. We never said all for one, one for all. Blue no matter who. No, not at all. Stop Anti-Semitism Party, maybe. We'll go with them. They're so fucked up that, by the way, that when they look at the Mamdani choices, the alternatives, this is the hilarious part. Latest general tracking polls just came out, right, for the general election. Mamdani, surging. In fact, he's doing better than he did during the primary. It's like, because the more the establishment keeps pushing back and hates on him, the more the voters are like, oh, he must be all right. Because, newsflash, we hate you, establishment people. We all hate you. So then you're the guys raising our rent. You're the guys making eggs cost too much. You guys all suck. So the city, but if you look, Mamdani's first. Cuomo, the one that the establishment wants to drop out of the race so that so someone else can beat Mamdani. He's actually not a distant second. He is a second. It's not close to Mamdani, but he's got the best shot at beating Mamdani. No, we're going to get rid of him. And then it's like, we're going to, then there's Curtis Sliwa. No, well, we don't want him. Even though, he's a loyal New Yorker, been, quirky, but, New Yorker. It's like, no, we're going to go for Eric Adams with his 11% approval rating, indicted by the Department of Justice on extremely credible corruption charges, who lined his pockets and the pockets of all of his family and friends and their friends while he was in elected office. Didn't do squat for the city the entire time. We never see him unless he's out clubbing. And then so if you're not up at 3:30 in the morning in the meatpacking district, you're not going to run into him. And then finally, he's literally like, they're going to back him. So that's how insane they are. They literally are like, fuck the guy who's number one in the race, and let's back the guy who's number 4 in the race. And by the way, who sold the city out to ICE, right? Basically sold out the city's, landmark legislation as a sanctuary city. We don't co-op. Like, if you are an illegal immigrant, you can call the NYPD. If you see something, say something, no problem, because we're not going to report you, because we are a city of immigrants and we're all descended from people who came here illegally, pretty much. So, but he sold all that out. So that's where the establishment is. That's why I wanted to talk about this, because it's about the establishment freakout. It's like the fact that they are so opposed to the voters' will that they think they can jam the guy who's 4th in the race down our throats. By the way, Joe Biden was 4th in the race in the Democratic primaries, right? 4th in the Iowa and the Iowa caucus and in the New Hampshire primary. Let's take the guy who's we're number 4, and then what happened to blue no matter who, right? Like, oh, look, this is your blue, and I'm sorry, I don't care what Islamophobic assholes have to say. There's nothing, there's nothing politically extreme about Zohran Mamdani. He's not David Duke. I had David Duke 3 feet away from me in a radio studio for 3 hours once, and I got to talk to him at length. I went out for beers with him afterwards. I know David Duke. It's like, that's no David Duke. Okay. It's like, there's no comparison. And they're both smart men. They are. But politically, you know, one is dedicated to the prospect that white European ancestry is what made America great and needs to be preserved at all costs. The other one believes that everyone ought to have an equal shot. Those are not the same thing.
I was looking for that clip, God, and I cannot find that clip because I would have loved for you to give your response to it. But yeah, the blue no matter who is a scam. It's a scam.
It's a lie. It's a lie.
See, I call it a scam because from my point of view, they know exactly what they're doing when they're saying blue no matter who. And I've had conversations with these Democrats or people who are liberals, and they would say, I would point out, hey, you know, Sanders was far more popular and he most likely would have beat Trump. And it was like, yeah, I don't like Sanders. And meaning in their minds, I would rather lose. And as I pointed out to her, and you lost. Congratulations. You got Trump.
Right.
That was very brutal to her. Because from my point of view, it's like, dude, you can't do this shit of blue no matter who when it's somebody who's some kind of random corporate, you know, robot that you guys want. Because they fit your thin level of interest that you guys would like to want and pursue in regards to your kind of third way Democrats. And then when the public chooses someone else, public will, you flip out. We don't want to support that person. We're going to use super delegates. We're going to use all of the tools at our disposal to try to get rid of that person. We're going to come up with reasons that we can't back that particular person because we don't like that person. But we expect and want you to back our rando corporate asshole. It's like, okay, I get it. I get the scheme. Fair enough. We are on the same page. We are not the same. These two things are not like the other. You win on your own merits. In which case, my hope is that they fail miserably. I think I said the other day that I hope the Democratic Party hit its head on the hardest corner, fall into a very lighted spot, and die. They choke, bleed out, and die. And we watch them do so dispassionately. They are a problem.
I couldn't agree more. And Jamal, you know, here's the thing. I kind of feel like it's like, let's say you and I, we become roommates, right? And I say, let's split up the chores. You know, I'll shovel the snow, and you know, whenever it snows, I'll shovel it, and you do the dishes. Now the thing is, and let's say, and like we live in New York, which means it snows once every 2 or 3 years, but the dishes are 3 times a day, every day, right? But you're like, you know, you're a little gullible, and you want to be a good sport, and you're like, well, you know, we did agree to split the chores. Granted, I always just see Ted, you know, sucking down a Lagunitas on the couch, while I'm doing the dishes. And he's, you know, the snow shovel has not been touched in years, but that's okay because one day, it snows, and I'm like, I'm not going out in that shit. It's cold. And you're like, the fuck? I've been doing the dishes every fucking day, you dick. And like, you're not going out there to shovel the snow? No, man, I don't feel like it. Look at it. I'm not going out there. It'll melt. Like, whatever. Leave it. I'm not touching that. You go do it. It's like. That's literally what the corporate Democrats are like. It's like they never have the whole bargain, right? Is that we're a big tent party. We have two big factions, and like we need you guys to support us. And when the time comes, we'll support you. Our time almost never comes. It's like the snow; it almost never happens. And then here you go. We had a snow. It snowed in the primary in 2016, and in 2020 it snowed, and it hadn't snowed in a long time. And it's snowing now in New York. It's like, and then where are these guys, right? Where's their fucking endorsement? Where are they fucking reaching for the snow shovel to help out, right? You know, Pelosi, Jeffries, Schumer. You could argue the other ones maybe don't have to. Schumer, he's a New York senator. It's his business. He's supposed to endorse the mayoral candidate for the city of New York. I guarantee you he did it in the past. You know, it's like they're nowhere to be found. You know, only Jerry Nadler is the only corporate Democrat who did the right thing, and he's not the most corporate Democrat. So, he's kind of like on the left side of the corporate Democrats. So it's like it's good on him. But God, that's the whole thing, right? It's like we made a deal with them that was never a good deal, and finally they have an opportunity to pay up, and they don't.
Yeah, that's my ire. That's my issue. That's my anger. I'm associated with it. My rage after the Sanders thing is unquenchable.
Oh, and not only that, they're scheming too, right?
Yes.
Like they're literally plotting against Mamdani. It's not. I mean, it's bad enough that they're not supporting him, which they ought to be. They should be throwing money at him, support, infrastructure, offering to campaign for him. They should give him everything that they would give Cuomo if he had won. But they're not gonna, and nope. They're not. But on top of that, they're not even doing that. They're scheming with like Mayor Adams, and they're plotting not only against their own Democratic nominee, they're plotting against the city of New York. I mean, this is the people's will. I mean, the general election polls. There's been several. They're very, very clear. Mamdani's running away with this. I mean, he's lucky that. The mood of the electorate is so anti-establishment that the more they do, it's like jujitsu. It just works in his favor. I bet Bernie Sanders would have been able to overcome, if 2016 happened in 2025, the Hillary Clinton crap wouldn't have worked. But, it's a different world now.
Do you think he's going to be able to do what he say he wants to do? I mean, one of the things that the guy called him was a Stalinist. I was like, oh, you are you. It's like, what the hell, man? And it gets across a certain level of desperation if you have to go to that lens. If you're comparing the guy to like a Nazi, and you're comparing him to David Duke, and you're comparing him to Stalinist and all this other stuff, and you're like, what are you saying?
Well, no one would. I think the city would look fine, festooned with, hammer and sickle flags all over the place, and quotes from Lenin and Mao. I do. I like the aesthetic. I like the politics, but that's not what this guy.
That's not Mamdani. Yeah, that's not Mamdani.
He's just a McGovern Democrat.
Do you think he's going to be able to do what he says he wants to do in New York? Is the question. Because from my point of view, if he's successful, he sets a model. If he fails,
he can accomplish some things. So his big campaign promise was to freeze the rent. He can absolutely do that because he appoints the members of the rent control board. So that is something he can do. He wants the bus to be free. That's a little complicated because he's going to have to do some horse trading with the MTA budget, which is controlled in Albany. It wouldn't really be that expensive, actually. So. Because first of all, half of New Yorkers don't pay the fare anyway. So
really,
so it's kind of like 43% or something. Not to mention, most people on the bus they had a free transfer from the subway anyway. So it's kind of like when you subtract all the costs of maintaining the payment system, policing non-payment, like having people check the tickets and stuff like that. It's like you're gonna have some reduced costs there. He could do that. He could do that.
That's a good point. It's more expensive to police it as opposed to just make it free.
Yeah, I mean, Staten Island Ferry's been free for years, and it seems to be doing fine. Then there's and I think there's the grocery thing. That's going to be more challenging just because groceries really are a low profit. They're a low margin business. There's that one guy from Gatsinakis, the guy who owns Gristedes, who's been all over right-wing media talking about Mamdani bringing fascism to New York because he wants to have. Well, everyone hates Gristedes. Go, take your shitty stores and leave New York. We have plenty of other ones. It's the most overpriced one. But honestly, I think he could accomplish that. Put in a pilot grocery store, partner with an existing store in all of the 5 boroughs, and just see how that goes. I don't think it'll really move the needle, but he could do that. Where things get complicated are he wants to expand the pre-K education, which we know gets really good results for good outcomes for kids, and it really helps the safety of the city, and it really lets parents breathe easier when they need to go to work and stuff. But that's expensive, so that money has to come from Albany, and from Governor Hochul. So she's not inclined to spend that money. So she's a right-wing Democrat.
Is there I'm sorry to interrupt. Is there a way for the mayor to raise money himself in New York?
There is. I don't know if he would have to. One big advantage of the fact that he is being attacked by the real estate interests and by Wall Street is that he doesn't owe them a marker when he becomes president. I mean, when he becomes mayor. So he could say, all right, well, as long as they don't shoot me, it'll be fine. I mean, they might shoot him, but they basically, he can ignore them. It looks like, so there's three loci, we've talked about this before, but there's three loci of power in the city. I mentioned two, right? There's the financial business, the New York Stock Exchange, and there's real estate, like the Michael Bloomberg sector. Then there's the NYPD, the cops. So it looks like you really can't govern without at least one locus of power. Looks like he's choosing the NYPD, ironically. He's made some noise about keeping the sitting NYPD commissioner, who's a billionaire who inexplicably decided she wanted to run the police department. He's talking to her about staying on. I don't think the police are doing a particularly good job these days, but it looks like he's decided, like, well, I've got to make the cops feel good, and he's going to promise them a raise. So basically, that's how that's going to look. So he could raise taxes on the wealthy. If it were me, I've always had this idea: stock market transaction fee. You slap $20-$30 on each transaction. You're going to have the money pouring in overnight. You won't know what to do with it all. It'll be your biggest problem. It's figuring out where to put it. So that's he can definitely raise taxes. He's going to have to get something signed off from Albany, but there's definitely ways to raise, to do that.
The stock market transaction fee I guess what I'm asking, well, look, the cop thing makes sense to me. It's like, I need to keep myself safe, so I want cops to be happy.
Well, you do need cops. New York is one of the few cities where you're like, yeah, they do something. Right? They're not just sitting around bored, behind a shrub and a shrub covering the stop sign, waiting to write you a ticket. They actually do work,
So, I guess what I'm asking is, does he need permission from Albany for the stock transaction tax?
That's a good question. It's possible. There's debate about that. It would have to be lawyered, but I don't know. Maybe not. But and it might go through Albany or it might not. The governor would certainly not approve of it. On the other hand, her locus of power is not Wall Street. Her locus of power is conservative Democrats upstate. So maybe, this is going to really be, and I'd say his biggest challenge, this is where his age comes in. He's 33 years old, and, this is about horse trading and negotiating. And, I don't know. There are some people to whom that comes naturally. For me, I'm good at it now at the age of 61. It's because I've spent a lot of time with human beings, and I've learned how to get people to see things from other people's point of view and try to see okay, how can I give them what they need so that I can get what I need? I don't know if he has that, and I don't know if he's going to have a team around him that can conduct those negotiations. But that will be the key to a successful mayoralty, is establishing a good relationship with Albany and with Governor Hochul in particular. If he can do that, he can govern successfully. He's going to have to find out what is it that scratches Hochul's itch and give it to her.
No, you know what scratches Hochul's itch. It's like, you got to show some leg, man. He's going to have to show some leg.
He's a good-looking man.
He's a good-looking guy. It's like, hey, can we go out to dinner? No, I'm being vulgar. I'm sorry. I hope he's successful. I want him to be successful. And maybe you're right. I guess,
City Council will be on his side. He is ideologically, they're very left-wing.
Yeah. I guess I could keep thinking that these people hate him, and maybe I'm too shaped by what took place in the Sanders race, and that colors my point of view too much. But I think you're right. He will have to find some way to deal with Albany.
And there's a
Because if
good Sanders analogy here. This is now
Mhm.
like, Sanders, where did he start? Mayor of Burlington, Vermont, a
Yes, he
very
did.
liberal city. New York City
Yes.
is a very left-wing city, and it's become more left-wing in recent years. The I mean, the landlords have gone absolutely crazy post-pandemic, and and they're going to pay.
So the landlords are going to pay.
They're
Listen,
going to
they're
pay.
going to pay.
Yeah,
They're
the
going to pay.
city. Honestly, if I think seriously, if there was a revolution and they were all strung up and hung from lampposts, and no one would cry. No one.
It's that bad.
Yeah,
It's like it's that over the top.
yeah.
But the landlords themselves have to also pay rents, right? I mean, have the rents for the landlords gone up?
Not really. They're the property owners. I mean, what do you mean? They're not
Like,
renting
for
property.
example, okay, that's fair. I was thinking that the landlords themselves still
They
had
claim their expenses have gone up. There's no credible reason
evidence
to
of that,
believe that to be true.
especially not to that degree. I remember on Silver Spring, because New York, DC is insanely expensive. Not as bad as New York, obviously, but bad from my point of view, especially
Mhm.
coming from Richmond, where you get an apartment for $800, $900. You can be living in a damn good place for like $1,300 a month, and so that doesn't exist in DC. That
Right.
doesn't exist in DC. Um, if you were paying $2,000 for a single studio, you're doing well. And so I think my place ended up being 1,900, but that was in a bad neighborhood. If you're trying to be in the city, it's just through the roof. When I was in Silver Spring, because many people live outside of DC, they live in like Maryland and or deep in Virginia, that type of thing.
Sure.
And they tried to raise the rent 15%, and nothing had changed. Like they literally tried to just yeah, we're now going to charge X amount, which is 15% more than what you were paying for the year before last.
Yep.
What's changed? Nothing at all. This is just what we're doing.
Right.
Now, I don't know if anybody purchased that place for that. But anyway, you look at it, I guess my point is, I understand what you mean when you point out that these rents that go up, and they seem to be unconnected to anything happening, short of we just want to make more money because we think we can make more money. And the person either pays it or leaves. And we believe that the next person who comes in will get it at that price point. I mean, it's just astonishing. I mean, are there that many? Yeah, it's just astonishing.
Well,
We'll
I think
leave it on.
I think it's a bubble too. I mean, there's a lot.
Yeah.
I mean, it's crazy. Like right now, my landlord is fighting with me about lease renewal. Now, the thing is, my building's half empty. So if I leave, they're like, okay, well, that's another empty unit. And part of the problem is they can deduct the cost of that empty unit from
the
their
tax.
taxes. So basically, the taxpayers are subsidizing their warehousing of units. In my opinion, warehousing ought to be illegal. Certainly, look, property rights in a capitalist society are important. But there should be a rule against keeping an apartment vacant for year after year after year, or a storefront vacant year after year after year, when you could rent it if you charged less. And it should be, that just shouldn't be permitted. If it happens at beyond a certain point, that property should be seized by the city and used however the city feels like. But that's not happening. But it's a bubble. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if there was an economic collapse where basically it turns out this whole house of cards, when it all comes clear, like the landlords are just basically overextended. They're all leveraged to the hilt. It's all a game. They're trying to create the illusion of scarcity in a city that doesn't have any actual scarcity to try to keep their numbers high. It's a cartel. It's like it's like the De Beers cartel. Diamonds don't really have much inherent worth. They just don't release many of them.
As you say, the landlords are going to pay. We're going to close it on that. I love that. They're going to pay. I love that. Ted Rall. Ted Rall is political cartoonist, syndicated columnist, host of TMI with Manila Chan. Also, Deprogram with John Kiriakou?
That's right.
Nailed that shit. Hot damn. Deprogram with John Kiriakou.
Get better from that cold, Jamal.
Well, yes, I know, right? You guys come on at 10 o'clock. Deprogram, when does that come on?
Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 5 p.m.
Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 5 p.m. Check him out. Ted Rall is fantastic. John Kiriakou is fantastic. Manila Chan is magnificent. Thank you, my man. You be
Thanks,
safe,
Jamal.
okay?
Take care.
All right. Bye-bye. All right.